Hello everyone. Sorry for a small delay. We were updating a key for streaming. My name is Nikolay. I'm currently streaming from Singapore. So after my 10-15 minutes, we will switch to Korea. So it will take a couple minutes of break again. But yes, again, welcome everyone to this session, to this conference, and I will start today with a topic 3 years of cybersecurity. Well, this topic started a bit longer, while back ago, but major official milestones happened in the last 3 years. That's why topic today is this. This is myself, but I will also again share my contact later. Let me move my video, otherwise it's... this is what I will tell you in next 10-15 minutes. And everything started with Stuxnet. Well, this is a bit banal, right? Everyone was inspired or motivated, not inspired. It was not a good thing. Was motivated by Stuxnet, but it really touched me at that time, because my major also at school was related to control systems, to computer science, and I understood what kind of impact it could have. And in 2015, I wrote an essay about cyber peacekeeping. I met a professor, Joshua James, and since that time we started our journey in the topic of cyber peacekeeping. And this quote, "Everyone focuses how to make war," motivated us during the time of our research, because we wanted to focus on building a safer cyberspace, building peace. We started with ground up. We started from the beginning, first coming up with a thorough, with a detailed definition. There were several works, related works before, but they were more technical, more specific, more narrow, or they were based on legacy of peacekeeping, on traditional peacekeeping. So in our work, we focused on specifics of cyberspace and build everything, the concept from the beginning, from the ground up. So basically, we coined the term cyber peacekeeping, and we came up with a holistic framework which applies cyber peacekeeping at different stages of cyber conflict. You can check with details of framework and our other works in our publications. We had a conference publication. We had conference publications. We published several journal papers. You will also see in timeline our publication, or you can just Google the term cyber peacekeeping. And we had experience, right? We had total 3 publications, like major publications. We presented conferences, we collected feedback, and currently, we are reviewing based on this feedback, and based on our experience now, we are reviewing our framework. So as I mentioned, this is how everything started at a global conference on cyberspace at Seoul in 2013, where I met Dr. Joshua James, and then we had several publications together. Our main goal is to come up with something tangible, right? To implement eventually cyber peacekeeping as an organization or as a framework. So that's why we had, after our main publication, Cyber Peacekeeping, we had more specific publication, like we were researching legislative requirements, because there are already frameworks, there are different national laws, so we wanted to see how cyber peacekeeping can suit to these laws, or like maybe how we can build another one based on existing best practices. And also we needed to come up with an idea how to implement it, whether based on an existing organization or based on or build a new organization. So our third work was about implementation of cyber peacekeeping, and we chose United Nations because, in our paper you can see our reasons why we thought that United Nations can be a good prototype, a good start for for cyber peacekeeping. And currently we see more adoption of this topic, more interest to this topic. So yeah, next slide I will show you what I mean about this. But yeah, we continue our work. We have further goals besides our main goal to implement cyber peacekeeping eventually. We have intermediate goals, working on an edited book, expanding our community, and eventually implementing cyber peacekeeping. As I told, we see already more interest in this topic. There are relevant publications, so this is a couple of publications which already referenced our work. We engaged with Dr. Dorn. He was assigned last year to the United Nations. Michael Robinson has also a very interesting journal publication, very detailed research. It takes a look at cyber peacekeeping from a bit different angle, but still it's a good work to provoke, to arise discussions. So we are looking forward to engage with Michael Robinson as well. So for community, we have our own several initiatives. Yeah, you can check our website, and we welcome everyone to publish, to share their resources there, to publish a blog. If you want to share your ideas, message me or Dr. Joshua James. You can find contacts on the website, and we will be happy to publish your ideas, publish your blog, or you can just engage through the comments. And also we have a hashtag on Twitter. Yeah, there are some topics shared there already also. If you got interested, or if you're already interested in this topic, I recommend to check Tallinn manual. Well, it's not about peacekeeping, right? It's about how to make war, legal war, but still it's a very interesting, big and thorough research. Another interesting research is Critical Terminology Foundation. Well, in general in cyberspace, terminology is not very clear. Sorry, just checking time, yeah. Terminology is not very clear, but terminology between East and West even more confusing. So this is an interesting attempt to come up with a unified terminology and find commonality. There are some events or organizations relevant to this topic. Digital Blue Helmets by United Nations is a recent interesting initiative. I hope it's growing. I didn't see most recently any events related to it, but I hope it will be growing. There was another organization, I2 Impact, which was also quite global and relevant. But yeah, unfortunately, I didn't see for a while events there. Global Conference on Cyberspace is a good platform for discussions. Happens regularly since 2011. I recommend you to check this out, Google it and find the website. And the new initiative, Global Commission on the Stability of Cyberspace, also kind of related to Global Conference on Cyberspace. I hope this a new organization will also contribute a lot to this topic. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach on Twitter or email or check our website. Thank you very much, and we will have a 2-minute break and switch to Korea.
Okay, everyone, thank you very much. Thank you, Nikolay, in Singapore for the first presentation on cyber peacekeeping. We're now in Korea with the Legal Informatics and Forensic Science Institute at Hallym University. And today we'll be talking about a lot of different information security related topics from our students. So to begin with, I thought we'd follow with the cyber peacekeeping concept. And the first thing we will talk about is cyber warfare and kind of the other side of cyber peacekeeping. So let's begin. Okay.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Kichol Kim and I am from LIFS Institute in Hallym University. And today I'll be presenting about cyber warfare and its phases and what are the proposed response framework is. So as you can see in the image here, there is a constant engagement of the warfare between nations. And if we were to talk about a cyber intrusion, maybe a decade ago, then we'll be talking about how to protect individuals' sensitive information. But now, the magnitude of the intrusion has grown immensely, and now we are talking about this a transnational threat to our national security. Therefore, declaring cyber as a new domain of warfare, governments, public and private sectors has been analyzing the cases of cyber warfare, and then they have been coming up with framework as to how to respond to those threats. And so in this presentation, I'll be presenting about each phase of cyber warfare and then what the proposed and recommended response protocols are. So first, before a cyber war breaks out, there has to be an ongoing dispute between two states or between one state and other states. So briefly speaking, after a cyber weapon is tailored based on the information or intelligence gathered during the planning phase, then it enters a reconnaissance phase, which means that the cyber weapon has now access or entry into the targeted system. And then during the replication state, it would spread onto, it would replicate or spread further into the target system. And then during assault phase, it would carry out its desired attack. Maybe it's about creating a backdoor for classified information off to the hands of the foreign control. And then we enter the obfuscation or a withdrawal phase, which means that now that the attack has been detected, and then the cyber weapon might hide itself, or it could destroy itself also. And then the two parties are considered to have reached a settlement when they reach an agreement with or without a help of a third party. And then during the point when there is no active engagement between the parties. So now I'll be discussing each phase in more detail using Operation Buckshot Yankee case. And this case was Pentagon's operation to counter a significant compromise of U.S. Department's computer system, according to William J. Lin, who was a former U.S. Deputy Secretary of Defense. So phase one, planning. During this stage, there is intelligence gathering, evaluation of the targeted information system, and based on those information, the cyber weapon is tailored. And also all the specifics about the plan will will be made during this stage. And going back to the Operation Buckshot Yankee, it is known that the preparation for the actual intrusion occurred much before the year of 2008. As the US began sending more troops out into the different parts of the world, and that phenomenon became to be perceived as a threat to other countries. So that's why the intelligence agencies from other countries began to come up with ways to espionage on the military plans of the US. Phase 2 is reconnaissance. As I spoke briefly, it's about getting entry to the targeted system, and it is constantly monitoring what's happening in that network to find out more about further vulnerabilities that can be taken advantage of. So in 2008, a flash drive, a infected USB drive carrying a malicious code was inserted into a laptop at a military base in the Middle East. So from that point, this malicious code got away into the classified military system of the US. And third phase, replicate. This means that this code is spreading throughout the systems of the target system. So it already has identified the vulnerabilities, and right now it's still kind of hiding. It's before it carries out its actual attack, so now it's still in the stealth mode. And it's creating backdoors or other ways that would be used for the opponent's purpose to take out the information. So in 2008 and on, this malicious code was spreading onto both classified and unclassified systems, and it was creating digital beachhead, which is like a backdoor where the information would be transferred to the hands of the foreign governments. An assault. This is where the full extent of the attack has been carried out. So in this case, this malicious code that entered the military system of the US, it was scanning computers and hard disks for data that it can bring back, it can send back to its controller. It was opening backdoors. It was looking for room to make backdoors, and it was sending signals, and it was communicating back and forth in order to send as much as data as possible. And obfuscation. This is after the attack has been detected by the host of the systems. So from the perspective of the attacker, the mission is now accomplished, and this is where the cyber weapon tries to hide itself or it self-destroys. So the investigators cannot really attribute who was behind this attack. So in October 2010, it was actually discovered. It took nearly 14 months for Pentagon to clean up the mess. And it took a long time for NSA and Pentagon to investigate as to how this malicious entered the system. And this incident also served as a trigger for creating the command control in the United States. Now I'll go into any different departments for this very cause. There's Department of Justice, Department of Defense, some of the FBI, NSA, and even the Department of Homeland Security. They are all working together in order to ensure that their system is secure. So, and since the critical infrastructure composes of many different parts to it, there are there are not just the government sectors, but public and private firms that are in charge of those ends at the operation ends of these critical structures. And that's why this framework was proposed to kind of recommend, like, this is how you're supposed to do. But it is also up to the cybersecurity technicians to kind of be flexible and fit this recommendation into depending on their need or depending on their own objective. So first, it is important to identify, once an intrusion takes place, there is really a limited time and limited resource or personnel to really react quickly and to fully recover from this intrusion. And that is why it is really important to come up with a response plan before the intrusion actually happens. So the asset management means that the company has to keep a record of the data, personnel, devices, systems, facilities, and all those the databases, and you have to make a priority as to what part of the asset is most important to least importance, in order to allocate finance or other resources for protecting the system. And then based on those priority, we have to perform risk assessment as to find out what are the impacts of the compromise of each asset. And then based on those two information, these companies have to come up with a risk management strategy. And then protect. So once the plan is made, it has to be taught to the personnel working. And that's what, so they have to be aware of their responsibilities. They have to know what their, how they're supposed to react when an incident happens. So the networks and physical assets have to be always under maintenance. They have to be up to date. And if needed, they are supposed to apply cybersecurity solutions for, in order to enhance the security of their system. Phase 3, detect. So in this part, this process is for minimizing the potential consequence of an incident. So in order to stay alert, network operations, physical environments, and the personnel activities, they always have to be under a close watch. And once an anomalous event occurs, then it has to be reported immediately. And then, yes, that's about the detection. The phase 4 is about responding. So since we have already come up with a response plan, now it has to be it has to be executed, and and for this part there has to be corresponding policies and procedures that would be followed by the personnel, and since the personnel are already aware of their responsibilities, now they're communicating with their supervisor and all the way up to the executive members of their organization. And the relevant information is also has to be shared with other members of the critical infrastructures, because other members, they also have to become aware that this attack is taking place right now. So after analysis such as performing forensics and other investigations, this incident is then contained and then mitigated. Recover. This part is really important especially for government agencies. And this is actually the part that took the Pentagon about 14 months to just get rid of those malicious code and to go back to functioning as it was before. So for this part, now that the another intrusion happened, the information gathered from that incident has to be updated so to improve their response plan. And then this information also has to be shared around the community of the critical infrastructure. So to sum up, I have looked mostly into the analysis and the response framework that was done in the United States. And I was shocked to see how the cooperation and partnership between public and private sectors were needed in order to ensure the security of critical structures. And then when I thought about my own country, South Korea, I was kind of shocked that there is not much happening right now, because while North Korea, which is viciously famous as a perpetrator of cyberwarfare, and they're sitting right above our country. But I am hoping that South Korean government will also step up and call for the experts from different ministries and come up with a thorough response framework. So that's all, and thank you very much.
Okay guys, my name is Addisu. I'm a graduate student in Legal Informatics and Forensic Science in Hallym University. Today I will discuss with you how Cloudflare Argo is going to be challenging to origin server digital forensic investigation. Basically I research on IoT forensics, but this one is just for the presentation. So in this talk, I will present the already existing methods which are discussed by many researchers, and I will focus specifically on the Argo tunnel. I will set up I just set up the Argo tunnel and perform forensic investigation on it. So my discussion pointers include introduction. So and in this session on the introduction part, I will talk about what the Cloudflare is, what services it provides, how forensic investigation or digital forensic investigation has been done on servers behind the Cloudflare, and most importantly, why do we need to investigate those origin servers, and the other part already existing methods and results. So on the top of that, what challenges are there, or what challenges are going to be happen due to the recent release service from the Cloudflare, which is the Argo tunnel. In conclusion, I will show some demos if we got time. So first of all, who is concerned on these issues? Who has to investigate the origin servers, or who needs to investigate those origin servers? Basically, digital forensic researchers may target those origin servers to forensic, law enforcement agencies, cybersecurity researchers, auditors, or penetration testers to check whether those sites are secure or whether those sites are vulnerable to attack, and website owners, those want to check how secure their website is by Cloudflare. So when we talk about Cloudflare or any other cloud-based web security services which deliver reverse proxy services, this one is generic explanation, although it is from Incapsula Network, which is one of the reverse proxy service providers. So they basically has the capability to absorb DDoS attacks to web servers, which are impossible or may not be capable or may not be protected by the server itself. So they have the scalability to absorb those DDoS attacks. And the other one is speed up services. They deliver content. They are basically content delivery networks which are supposed to speed up the service or the website services that are behind them. The other parties, they do have like web access firewalls, so they protect the other or the servers behind their services. Among the companies, Cloudflare, Incapsula, and Secure are popular, and today I'm going to talk about the Cloudflare and its recent services related to the security and its challenges to digital forensic investigations. So Cloudflare is a US-based company which is popular in delivering content delivery network and DDoS protections for web servers hosted, and about 10% of the traffic passes through them, which is through their cloud protection service. They have more than 150 data centers all over the globe that can facilitate the speed up service, also the DDoS protection. And recently they are adding smart routing services such as Argo, and based on the top of that they are delivering Argo tunnel or Argo security service, which protects the origin servers even more. And they do have other services also. So why do we need to investigate, or why do we need to forensically analyze origin servers behind cloud servers? On the top, as far as pen testers may want to check how secure those services are or how protected those servers are for just auditing service or for themselves to test their securities. The other parties, law enforcement perspectives or law enforcement agencies may want to forensically analyze services that are hosted behind the Cloudflare in case those services hosted or delivered illegal content, such as, for example, copyright infringements. In those cases, the point or the legal contact of the Cloudflare is just, since they are not hosting the service by themselves, they just provide some information or redirecting information to the owners of the web servers or the origin servers. So between the notification and the abuse notification and the origin server, so the owner of that origin server may change the services, may delete or may modify the content. So there should be some method to forensically analyze without noticing the owner of that service. So to perform that, there should be a bypassing mechanism from the cloud service. And the other point to indicate is that court orders has been increasing from 2013 to 2017. In 2017 alone, there has been 153 court orders to investigate servers or origin servers behind Cloudflare security. So how can we investigate those origin servers? How can we perform the required digital forensic service behind those services? So in the investigation process, the main point or the goal is, one, to find the real IP address, which is protected by the Cloudflare server, and the other part is bypassing the cloud servers or the cloud protection that is delivered by the Cloudflare. So in this case, for example, all the traffics destined to the Cloudflare data center, then the Cloudflare, after filtering legitimate and illegitimate traffics, it will forward or fetch on behalf of the visitors the content from the origin server. So in case of bypassing those services, the attacker and any other legitimate visitors can access the origin server directly, just bypassing the Cloudflare protection. So the main goal of the investigation process is to reveal the real IP address of the origin server and bypass the cloud protection to access the content hosted on the origin server directly. So what are the steps to perform those goals? The first one is to identify whether the services or the origin server is protected by the Cloudflare. The other part is identifying the origin IP address or the real IP address the server is redirected. And the last method is just accessing the contents or performing the forensic investigation, remote forensic investigation on the server. So how can we identify whether the server is or protected by Cloudflare or other security providers, which is reverse proxy providers? The first and the easy method is just to ping the domain of the server. In that case, it will return the real the IP address behind that domain. And if the server or the origin server is behind Cloudflare, the ping tool will return the Cloudflare's IP address that is redirected to the origin server. So after discovering the IP address, there are a couple of tools. There are many tools actually to identify whether those IPs belong to the Cloudflare or to the origin server. The simplest two are just going to the whoisdomaintools.com and inserting that IP address may reveal to whom that IP address belongs, or just accessing as that IP address may reveal to whom that IP address is connected by simply reply the Cloudflare reply that this IP address, this IP address belongs to them and their origin server is not exposed to that IP address. So how can we expose that IP address or the origin IP address that the server or the hosting server is using behind Cloudflare? There are many tools that are available online and due to many open source researchers. The first one or the biggest one is the CrimeFrame project, which collects DNS records from all over the DNS available to the public. So they query that database associating with the origin IP address and the origin IP address and the associated domain name. So by simply inputting that domain name, if the origin server has been recorded in their database, they may expose the IP address. The second one is history of the previous hostings. So if that web server has been hosted on different sites and recently or at some point migrated to Cloudflare, those records may appear in the records or history records. The other one is by brute forcing or DNS brute forcing that domain, which may expose other unforwarded or misconfigured services on that origin server. For example, if the mail server is hosted on the web server or on the origin server itself, since Cloudflare delivers only the HTTP redirection, this mail domain may expose the real IP address of that origin server. So there are also other online tools that automate this process. So that has been said, there are also a couple of tools that just automated the other previous solutions. For example, this one is from Reno Security Labs that automated or scripted the whole process so that it can be accessed from command line operations. This one is the other tool, or the other tool that can also reveal or perform the same exposing real IP address. They also automate the crime frame project. So what are the challenges to these tools? What are the main drawbacks of these tools? So the first one is the recent released service, which protect the origin servers more secure than the previous ones, which is the Argo tunnel. This Argo tunnel is a modification or a service on the top of the Argo package, which is smart routing. Basically, it reroutes the whole traffic securely from the origin server up to the end data center of cloud center that is nearest to the visitors. So what does is it installs client agent on the origin server. That client agent downloads a certificate from Cloudflare data center and encrypts all the traffic between the agent and the Cloudflare. So in this case, any publicly facing ports will be closed, so only the agent communicate with the Cloudflare service. So on the top of that, since all the other tools that expose the origin servers on the top of that, since the origin servers or tools exposing the origin servers depend on the misconfiguration of the origin server, those misconfigurations disappear, the finding or exposing those real IP addresses will be challenging. And the other part is, as I talked, the recent services that are more secured. So in the previous case, if somebody got the origin or the public IP address of the origin server, accessing the website was possible due to that origin server. But after the Argo tunnel is enabled, accessing those services will not be possible due to many cases. So how can we identify whether the service or the Argo tunnel is enabled on the server? This one is just a manual operation to identify whether the service creates any latencies that may bring a difference to the Argo smart routing. Just manual operation performed, and the average indicates that there has been a little latency to the origin server content due to the Argo tunnel enabled. So these are just a couple of slides that indicate those performance status. The other methods that are supposed to work or that may work to expose the real IP addresses are, since those real IP address depend or exposing real IP address tools depend on the configuration of the server, attacks or vulnerability, exploiting the vulnerabilities on existing servers may be the other methods to expose those vulnerabilities, those IP address. So what are the drawbacks to the tools, the existing tools? They highly depend on the misconfiguration of the origin server. So as those servers got more secure and more correctly configured, exposing those real IP address may be challenging. So in conclusion, due to the recent services from the Cloudflare, such as the Argo tunnels and the smart routings, and also from experienced configurations of those origin servers, exposing the real IP address is becoming more challenging. And even if those real IP addresses are exposed due to the recent Argo tunnel, accessing those web servers directly will be much difficult, so much challenging. So the focus should be on other methods such as exposing the vulnerabilities in the origin servers. Thank you.
hold it. 이거 어떻게 써? 네. Hello, my name is Jiyoon, and today I will talk about South Korea does internet censorship towards North Korea information towards South Koreans. Recently, we see a lot of news related to Korean summits and peace treaty, so I thought it might be interesting topic to talk about this. Hope you do also. So if South Korea citizen wants North Korea information on internet, can they get information? Yes, on the news and internet there are North Korea related information floating around. But if you look at the article, most of them sounds pretty much similar. Then does it mean can they get info? Answer is no. And why it is difficult to get information from North Korea. To explain about this, I have to talk about the history in South Korea. There is a law for censorship existing in South Korea. There was military government exist for a long time in South Korea after Korea was divided into two. The censorship towards media started from military government under the national security law. Government set the guideline for how to regulate the information which can be potentially threat the government itself and how some information should report the citizen. Even though the military government were gone and we became Republic of Korea, but national security law still exists after the enactment of new constitution 1987 because Korea is literally still in wartime. Then how bad the internet censorship is in Korea? To explain, I have to introduce one site to everyone, UNI. UNI stands for Open Observatory of Network Interface. This site monitors internet censorship around the world, such as blocking the website, instant messaging apps, and for the other circumvention tools, detection systems that could be responsible for censorship. UNI scans TCP, DNS, HTTPS, and TLS connections. They check for DNS spoofing, keywords filtering, transparent proxying, and website blog list. According to UNI, during the 14 days, 415 cases out of 1,321,797 measurements. This is about like 29.6 blocks per day. So what kind of materials South Korean government does censorship towards citizens? If it is considered as harmful to public order, pornography, nudity, materials that are harmful to minors, cyber defamation, sexual violence, anti-military contents that praises North Korea. But South Korea not only blocks the contents from praising North Korea, but also blocks blocks on access to North Korea website itself. So check about this. I used Tor to figure out on a list that is available in the Tor but not available in Chrome. I checked some of the sites in Uni that is end up with .kp and collect some address from the search engine. I did mosaic DNS just for in case, because I was not sure assessing and exposing these sites in DNS list is against whether it is against the national security law. So to look at the purpose of the website, government blocked the sites such as news websites, cookings, and etc. The only available sites on Chrome that I was finding is this website, North Korea Tech. In fact, this is a blog tells North Korea IT related news. Actual IT reporter writes this blog based on the materials from the North Korea articles, and he collects North Korea IT data from KCNA, which is the North Korea news website, and other web materials also. But until 2017, accessing North Korea Tech site was blocked in South Korea, and recently South Korea Administrative Court made a decision that blocking North Korea Tech is breaking the law, and it should revoke the previous decision because they did not do enough research and review for blocking this site under the national security law. So now I want to explain current status of South Korea citizens towards North Korea itself. First, to talk about why do South Korea citizens have to know about the information from North Korea. Already, South Korea have been exposed to the biased information from government for a long time. And personally, the information that South Koreans are currently accessing about North Korea is making South Koreans to be biased towards North Korea. And before the Korean summit, South Koreans were insensitive towards North Korea at all, and to be honest, I was also. And then why the South Korea citizen has to know about information from North Korea? Knowing North Korea information is the best way to make decision, and making decision is important to make properly working policy based on accurate data. And making the right decision is needed in every situation, but especially in the Korean summit. And if you look at the South Korea constitutional law, based on the Amendment 21st, South Korean citizen has a right to know, and based on Amendment 22, South Korean citizen has freedom of speech, and these two laws are bigger than the national security law. But South Koreans are still only accessible to the biased information from our own government. And thank you for listening.
Hello everyone. My name is Subong Jang. I'm student in Hallym University. So today my topic is social method for protecting against the watering hole attacks. Before start, I want to tell you, please understand me because I'm not good at English. But I think I can communicate with you. Introduction. These days, many people use the internet and people access the many servers. But even if we request a specific domain address, we will receive another URL together, not only the domain which I want. And hackers are exploiting this vulnerability to plant malicious code in the data being replied, and the user continues to use it without knowing the infection. So nowadays, many people don't receive any files because of virus or malicious code. So nowadays we worried about that, so we don't receive any files. But especially malicious URLs are really difficult to distinguish before we connect. And we don't know when and where they will be updated. So I want to tell about that. This attack is like putting poison into a watering hole in savanna, causing disease to all the animal that drink it. This is Korean company. Name is Susan INT. They found new malicious URL newly discovered each month. So this is last year, the first half of 2017, they found total 93,000 new malicious URL. So this is how the hackers use the method. If we request I and the many other URL came together, so we can see only the I, but there are many other URL, other data come to my device. So we don't know how many how many URLs come. So this is Korea some news page, name is insight.com, and then I installed the U-Matrix, which is block advertisement or malicious URL. So the U-Matrix tell me when I enter this insight.com, but I got 49 URLs. I got 49 URLs that may contain malware or ads. So we don't know if we want to see something, but there are many things come to my device, and then we cannot distinguish which is not good, which is good. So these days, there are Pi hole. People use Raspberry Pi and install some program. Then Pi hole connect with the access point. Then we used block advertisement or malicious URL. So Raspberry Pi is a tiny computer developed for educational purpose. So, but this is similar with our desktop. So we can use many things. Also, we can build almost everything. Not almost, but many things. And Pi-hole, some people installed in the Pi-hole, and then create a DNS server layer to reject request of blank lists. And so it can block advertisement and malware. So this is the method. The normal browser blocker is is like this. So my computer send request something from server, and the server respond to my computer. Then my browser block. So the data is already come to my device. So browser blocker block it at browser level. So as malware already accessed my computer. But this is Pi-hole. When my device requests something from server, and the ads and malware blocked on the DNS layer, and then the response, like some data we want, come to my device. So since the ads are prevented at the network level before the ads reaches my device, we can prevent ads or malware from appearing on internet connected device that aren't a web browser. So I used this, and then I want to use this. I really want to make a good cyberspace environment. Actually, if my grandmother or grandfather buy a new device like computer or phone, they will just use, and they can get many bad things in their device. But if we set up this in our home network or company network, they just use when they just use the network, they cannot get this malicious URL or as some bad thing. And the Pi-hole is use blacklist. Already people find and the analysis, and then that is not good, and then they made the blacklist. Using the blacklist, the Pi-hole blocked the URLs. So how can we collect blacklist? People already make blacklist. They use crawler or some report, and then make a blacklist, and then they share it. But I think we need more powerful things. So I think social power is more powerful. So this idea is from Korean police webpage. The Korean police have service to checking phone number or bank account number to show the numbers that have been reported to the police more than 3 times at the last 3 months. So if we want to deal with someone, but we don't know who is this, but we can check the number and bank account, and then now before we deal, we can reduce the damage by police registering the phone number and account to use for the phishing. So this idea, I wanted to use this idea to hold the cyberspace. So every country people use different language, and they use really different websites. Depends on country, area, field, or job. So I usually go to Naver and some other website, and the website is Korean language. But the other site, like Japan or Arab, I can access. But if we change the job or the country, site, area, field, we learn language, we can visit. And then, but we don't have information from there, so we can get some malicious URL or some phishing site. Yeah. So I think the power of sharing, I think the sharing is more powerful. So this is benefit. So we share information about the site we don't use often. So the information means malware and phishing site or ads. And next is, since it is done automatically, not much effort is required. And third, it is more powerful than a crawler. Before I think about this model, I thought the crawler is, I wanted to use crawler, but crawler cannot find, we can find, but crawler take a lot of time. But if each country people use, make blacklist, and then if we share, that is more powerful and we can reduce many times. So this is model what I think. First, go to website, and second, download the all DNS list. Then we delete, duplicate, because we visit the same site a lot. And four, check the list with virus total. I will explain again. And five, good list to go to white list for 1 month. And six, bad list to go to blacklist forever. And seven, upload blacklist to GitHub. And eight, Pire automatically download the blacklist. So the first, to go to website. So we just visit the website as a user. We just use it, the website, and then like uMatrix, I just use uMatrix, but there are many ad blocker or malicious broker, and then the broker show me how many URL come. So if we when we download the list, we can delete the duplicate list. Then we send the list, and we send it to some free checking malicious or virus website. Like there are many free sites that check for URLs that contain virus or malicious malwares, and check the generated list using the API of the site. So using the API, we can automatically check, and then if this is good, go to white list. This is bad, go to blank list. So after checking, yeah, then white list is for 1 month, because websites can be updated at any time. Then seven, update the blank list to GitHub. We need to share, so we need to put GitHub, and we can share. Then we made the repository, and the Pire automatically download. Pire has a function to download the blank list, so we can you can choose which blank list I want to use. So this model, if this model is automatically, like if I programming this and then made a plugin install to Chrome, and that it will be reduce effort, reduce time. And if we put function like a phishing site reports, if I think there is a phishing site, I can just put like click and then directly go to blank list, and that is really good information to everyone. But the problem is the sites have API. The API to check for malware and virus has limited capabilities, because one API can, like their API have limited capabilities, so it will take more time. So we can reduce the list to check by using the open list, but however, amount of lists we produce per day is quite large, and so there is a limit to API capabilities. And then GitHub is publicly available, so someone can intentionally put unnecessary lists in the way of blank list functionality. So if somebody think really bad way, and he put any domain, then the blacklist is not useful. So I'm really I think I don't know. Do we have to distinguish who is using it or not? I need to think about more. So conclusion. In cyberspace, it can be a powerful force for many people to share malware, viruses, and phishing information. And then the power can block and network level. So my father, my grandmother, grandfather, yeah, we can protect them, or we can help them, help friends or coworker or someone who we don't know, but we can help. I think we can make a good environment in cyberspace. And I think this model will reduce people's effort to improve cyberspace. Thank you. Let's make a good cyberspace.
Hello everyone, my name is Jaeseung Jang, undergraduate student in Hallym University. So today I'm going to present about legal issues on artificial intelligence robots in South Korea. So I will talk about what the AI is first, and then how the AI robots are related with animal protection law. Also, I will talk about AI robots, copyright, and responsibility. First, the necessity and purpose of research. For understanding AI robots, we need to know the legal status of robots with artificial intelligence, and should be noted that artificial intelligence is being discussed in intellectual property. For example, copyright of robot reporters article or inventors in software development. Today, because of AI robots, increased reliance on machines, but human relationship goes down. Therefore, there are two sides of the discussion: the coexistence of human and AI, or domination of the other party. This presentation measures to respond to ethical and legal disputes surrounding technology, not research. For example, who has responsibility between human, who is an owner, or robot itself. First, we are going to look at the understanding of artificial intelligence. The artificial intelligence means that self-recognizing and acting on its own. It is not clearly defined by law, but there are some laws to be inferred, which is Intelligence Robust Development and Distribution Promotion Act. It is related with Enforcement Decree of Software Industry Promotion Act. It says that intelligence robot means that a machine that recognizes the external environment and determines the situation and operates itself. For increasing computing power, AI includes neuromorphic computing that enables the human brain to be implemented. Also, big data can help to learn and understand a variety of information, which means data can handle large amounts of information. And I believe it is a premier association, which means a society that is connected to a network like IoT. So intelligence can be divided to weak intelligence and strong intelligence. Weak intelligence only available is in certain areas and enter basic data and rules to learn from them. Also, it cannot create it beyond the rules and limited level of troubleshooting. However, strong intelligence can use universal in a wide variety of fields, and when the algorithm is designed, AI will find and learn its own data. Also, it proactively learn outside of established rules, and it can be the level of human mind. Now I'm going to talk about the legal status of AI robots in animal protection law. On the relationship between animals and robots, the individual values are understood to be emotional and life dependent. Animals under the Animal Protection Act is a neurologic vertebrate which able to feel pain. What the act says, the pain means the anguish and pain of the body or mind. However, robots cannot feel pain. So, can animals or robots have an ownership? Basically, under the Animal Protection Law, the owner of the animal has ownership except for wild animals. Also, Civil Act Article 211 says the owner may use, make, or dispose of the property within the scope of the law. In the robot case, current legal owners who are understood to be objects have the right to own, use, profit, or dispose of them. Therefore, owner can hold on ownership. So can animal be a body of rights itself? We need to understand permissions to be protected as objects because animals cannot express. So that means robot also cannot express oneself. Now I will talk about copyright and responsibility. Before we talk about copyright and responsibility of AI robots, we need to see the distinction between humans and robots, AI robots. So, can humans distinguish artificial intelligence robots? It is very difficult to being treated like a human being in reality. The current legal system identifies human existence by separating things from humans. Because human intelligence has much more complex physical and chemical structures and builds relationships by experience. So robots can already produce content that is equivalent to human abilities like pictures, novels, something like that. So it is not easy to identify authors as human by marking the content created by robots. For example, copyright of the robot engineer still discussed who the author will look for in the article or music by AI robots. Also, under the law, a denial of registration that does not meet copyright registration requirements. That means robots cannot hold copyright. And another issue is responsibility, and the example is self-driving car by artificial intelligence. A self-driving car can drive itself without the control of the driver or passenger, but can ethics be programmed into a self-driving car? So it is unable to obviate as it is a related concept, and there are some questions whether machine learning on AI can increase ethical awareness. So, who has responsibility when the accident happens? Under the Road Traffic Act, drivers need to follow a duty of caution. But who is a driver? A person or car itself. However, self-driving is also a robot, so owner has to have a responsibility. So for conclusion, today is a lack of legal response to AI robots, and it is still have a discussion of the copyright of AI robots, which is AI robot as seen under animal protection law. Ownership is given to the owner. The copyright of AI robot belongs to its owner. Also, discussion of responsibility for self-driving cars. Therefore, in my opinion, the law should be prepared so that the copyright or responsibility for AI robots is on the owner. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Minjin Park. I would like to talk about some social issues in Korea that's been mentioned over and over. This is my table of contents. So KakaoTalk is a global mobile messenger service launched by Kakao Corporation in 2010 March. It is like a Telegram app. KakaoTalk is currently available as on freeware for smartphone users. According to the app analysis company WiseApp, KakaoTalk is accounted for 95% of the total usage of 10 major messengers based on the usage time. And the others are Facebook, Messenger 2%, Line is 1%, WeChat 1%, Telegram 1% each. So the KakaoTalk has a lot of functions such as games, shopping, music, TV, emoji, and so on. However, they have two main functions, which are free chat and call. So they have three different chats. First, open chat, private chat, and general chat. Open chat is you can talk to anyone you like if you have the same interest. Private chat is you can have a group chat with the private, but it doesn't show up on the list. General chat is similar to the private chat, but it's like less privacy, so you can see on the list. And for the call, is you have voice talk. You can talk with the Kakao Talk with voice, and you also can do face talk. So the issues. New type of bullying, which is cyberbullying, increased by the mobile messenger and SNS between teenagers as the use of internet increased. In Korea, according to the Ministry of Education in 2017, the number of reported cyberbullying in 2012 was increased 900, and in 2013 it was 1,082, and 2014 1,283. 2015, 1,462, and 2016, 2,122. So it keeps increases. So, and according to the 2017 School Violence Surveillance Survey, cyberbullying accounts for 10% of total school bullying. In addition, violence in the cyberspace is the highest among violence outside of the school. So KakaoTalk is one of the tools that is used for bullying, and the name of bullying is Kakao Jail. So the method is the offender invites the victim to the group chat and swears to the victim without any reason. When victim leaves the chat room, re-invites the victim and start to swear again. They repeat over and over when victim is leave. So I did some simulations, and this is recorded from victim's viewpoint. So this is offender, and they just keep saying anything to the victim. And when victim leaves, they invite victim again. So when victim leaves again, and victim invited again. Yes, so this is how it works. So why is it a problem, and why was it? First, students who are offenders don't think this is serious, so they think this is just playing with the victim. Second, due to the nature of cyberspace, victim is exposed to the cyberbullying 24 hours a day through the internet. And also, offender can bully the victim anywhere, anytime. Third, that is hard to recognize like a physical abuse because it doesn't show up on the surface easily. Fourth, it's less attention of the people who can actually protect the victim. There was a case. One student asked for help to the school violence counseling agency, but they just let victim to call again when victim experienced it again. So victim experienced again and called counsel agency. Then counsel agency told the school about it, but however, school didn't want to make any noise about it. So teacher just let offender and victim to have a handshake only. And last problem is there was no way to stop the invitations, like I showed you, when the Kakao jail just happened. So Kakao company made some solutions when the issue become bigger and bigger. So they created the reject invitation and quit functions here. And yep. So, but if someone in the room create a new room, they can invite a victim again. And another solution was that blocking the offender. However, other people also can invite the victim again with the same, in a different chat room, but with the same offender and victim in the same chat room. So this is not a perfect solution. So at this point, I wonder how other messengers is. So tried in the Telegram with my colleague. The first picture is that I'm in the Telegram jail and one offender keeps saying something. And then I leave the chat room and block the offender because I could not find the reject the group chat. So I just blocked the offender. After blocking, the offender tried to invite me again, but failed to get the message. I failed and got the message like, sorry, unexpected error occurred. To fix the error, send report to the Telegram. So in Telegram, the solution is block the contact person. The contact person cannot invite back victim to the same room. If the contact person, which is offender, wants to a one-by-one chat later, the room is created to the offender, but the no room created to the victim. And the one thing is that group chat itself cannot be blocked. So if another person invites you to that room, so the victim has to be, can be entered. So in conclusion, cyberbullying, which uses previously mentioned Kakao jail. So there's type of cyberbullying, and then explosion room, which is invite victim students and everyone else leaves the group chat room. Wi-Fi shuttle using smartphone hotspot function to take data from the victim students, and gift shuttle forced to give SNS emoji or cash gift that can be used is various types in Korea. So currently, cyberbullying is punishable through the School Violence Council Committee under the Act on Prevention and Countermeasures Against School Violence. So schools should take care of the students with this situation. Kakao jail, it has become a big issue after Kakao Talk came out. This issue is it reduced the past, but it is still ongoing. Rather than simply creating a way to avoid it, you need to make how to break it down the problem. To suggest, it would be better to make a procedure to get an invitation agreement if people want to invite someone to the group chat. And another thing is, it is important not to do it, but the education necessary for the prevention. Yeah, thank you very much.
Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about Android application security, and it is best practice to secure your Android application while developing or testing Android applications. It's a recommendation in introduction for programmers or for anybody interested in the subject. My name is Yohannes Yemane. I'm a graduate student here in Hallym University, studying legal informatics and forensic science. I'm doing a research on IoT device forensics for past year. Before this, I have been working as a developer. It's either on desktop or Android applications. And also I have an experience on Android overall reverse engineering. So the agendas are this. So I will start with the introduction about the Android application and the Android I will start with the recommendation, the introduction about the Android application, and so I will start with Android application security, and then I will talk about the top application security testers, and I will conclude the overall talk. So as a motivation, as an Android application developer, I know some of the practice of the security practice, so I should know of the security practice of the Android application. And I also work as a reverse engineer, so I face different security challenges while I face these Android applications and other applications. So I thought sharing a could be a good idea. So I hope it gives you the basics and develop from it. I'm by no means an expert on this thing, so I try to develop my knowledge on it, and from the security and from the reverse engineering perspective. Introduction. Android applications are like becoming big part of our lives. It entertains us, it keeps us in touch with our families. We can control our smart homes with them, and sharing anything we want about our lives with the world and so on. So Android dominates the market with around 87% of the market, and while iOS comes a distant second with 12%. As of April 2018, there are around 8.5 million applications on Play Store, and thousands of new applications are added to the marketplace each day. That means that Android application takes a larger share of the market. So even if thousands of applications added to the Android store, and there is a big concern about the application, the security of each application. Most Android applications fail basic security testing. I know it's old statistics, but the around 75 applications fail basic security tests. The application could be like the social medias, the e-commerce applications, and so on. So every enterprise or private like individual developer should consider while developing, consider the security part while developing the apps. But as we know, there is no 100% security unless the application is unreleased or it's not done yet. That does mean that we shouldn't make the attackers' job harder. So we can make it harder by like incorporating basic security methods, so that could make it harder for the attacker. Factors why apps are not secured. The first factor is we might focus on the developing apps, not like the security part of the applications. Like we focus on developing and releasing the function or the application to the users. So we focus on the development part, not the security part. The second is not as development cycle, it's not fully integrated with development stage, or now there is like DevSecOps, now it's coming to the market, but we are not focused, we are not into, we didn't introduce the subject to the development cycle. And the other is lack of quality assurance in testing. And developers also like make error while developing the application, like accidental code errors. This could affect the security of the application, could be also a vulnerability. Like hard coding the passwords, like hashes, not using secured communication are some of the errors. So we can name a lot of factors other than this, but this is the most one. Android app security practices. So this is just a recommended practice for developing a secure Android applications. That doesn't mean that it's only these methods. So let's see some of them. I selected these 6 like security-based security practice like to incorporate in your application while developing it. So the first is root and custom ROM detection. the idea is denying an application from running on routed device or custom installed ROM devices. As you know, a routed device gives a root privilege, a root privilege for attacker, and almost all hacking starts with the root privilege. And the second one is anti-emulator. It's protecting the application from running on the emulator. So running an application in emulator gives the attacker powerful way to monitor or manipulate the applications. And the third one is anti-debugging. As you know, developers should like disable debugging capability of the application while they release or they post it on Google Store. So but there is a ways like to disable it, to enable it back again. So we have to make sure that the attacker didn't make it, didn't enable it, or so the fourth one is tamper detection. It's detecting if the application is changed or modified. It could be like on or runtime, or it could be like statically. And the phase one is anti-reverse engineering. Attacking starts with reverse engineering. Like most of the time, it starts reversing the application and knowing what the application is doing and searching any hashes or passwords or any strings. It starts with reverse engineering. So we have to protect our codes and our application from reverse engineering. The last one is I selected like SSL or certificate pinning. It is protecting the application not to accept every like certificate they get from the device or from. It can protect it if we pin the application. It can protect the application from man-in-the-middle attacks. So I will start with ROM or rooted detection method. So the goal is to deny the application running on a rooted device. It's highly effective on its. It's not highly effective on its own, but it can improve the overall application security. It is like it protects also basic attacking methods such as sniffing, man-in-the-middle, Wi-Fi attacking, and so on. Because most of the hacking apps and methodologies requires a rooted device before everything. So first we have to detect for the custom ROM detection for the custom ROM or for rooted device. And common detection methods on like to detect the root if the device is rooted or it is installed the custom ROM, is that we have to first check if there is some kind of apps or package installed on the rooted device, like files such as superuser, demo, and king roots or busybox are used to root the device or to communicate with the rooted device. So the first method is to check if or install package found on the root device, and the second one is check existing commands or running processes. So like if on the rooted devices you can get a specific running process like superso and demo or any other. So we can check the running processes and check if the device is rooted or not. And the third is like the safety net. This is an Android API that creates a profile of the device using software and hardware information. So it then compares against the whitelist device modules that passed the Android compatibility test. So we can check the safety net of the device. So after that we can say that this device is rooted or not. So this is the code, like it's code snippet. So it checks the running process and says yeah, it's rooted or not. So first it's lists or gets the running services, then check if there is super su or super user on the list of the running process. So if it gets as a startup, you can check this. You can use this code to check if the device is like rooted or not. And the second recommended like application security practice is emulator detection. The goal is to deny the application not to run on the emulator. Like make root emulation, running the application on the emulation makes the attacker or reverse engineer's jobs harder to use methods to attack the applications. Like if it is your application and somebody else is running the application on the emulator, like we can suspect that the attacker is or someone else is interested in your application. So we have to check the root emulator detection. So the common detection methods are like the first one is to check the Bluetooth. We cannot get like Bluetooth devices on the emulators. So if the device doesn't have the Bluetooth device, we can suspect that it is an emulator. So we can check the Bluetooth device in the device. The second one is checking check indicators and signature of the device. So emulator have their own signature in like names and indicators. Like if the fingerprints or the module contains Google SDK or emulator or generic, we can suspect that it's an emulator. So so we can protect our application from the emulator. Mind that these methods also can be bypassed with hooking or rebuilding the application. So it's just a recommendation. And the third method is check the indicator and signature of the device, like using the telephony manager. The telephony manager returns like the device ID, that is IMEI number, and other values. Based on the returned value, if the IME number is 00 or zeros, so you can say that the device is an emulator. So certified devices have their own unique device ID. So checking this ID also can be used to distinguish the real device from the emulator. And the third method is anti-debugging method. So debugging is the best way to analyze the runtime behavior of an application. Like debugging allows like stopping through the code, analyze and see the values of the variables, and read and modify values and memory values and so on. So it gives like a room for the attacker to use. So there are two types of debugging methods on Android application. The first method is Java debug wire protocol, and the second is native level ptrace based method. So developers need to implement defensive method against these debugging capabilities. So the common anti-debugging methods are checking the debuggable flag in the application info. Like we can check Android or debuggable attribute in the application info. If the application is connected or if the application is connected to a debugging, if it is debuggable, this value is set. So we can suspect that the application is in debug mode. So using this code, like it returns is if the debugging capability of the application is true or not. So if it is true, the application is on debugging mode, so we can stop your the application from debugging at runtime. The second one is checking whether the debugging is currently connected or not. So debug system class has a static class to check it, like return is debuggable connected, returns true if the application is connected to a debugging capability. And the mostly used security practice is to protect your codes or your resources from anti-reverse engineering. Reverse engineering app is recreating the application and its resources back to where it starts. So that means taking the compiled app and recreate its source code is a reverse engineering. Reverse engineering gives the attackers the opportunity to analyze and the structure, the resource, and its behavior, and helps the attacker to know how the application works and how the application operates. So the APK files is just a RAR file. It's like compressed file. So if we can unzip it, we can get all the resources and other things. So we can just use WRAR to unzip it, or we can use tools like APK tools to extract also the applications. Then the Java class or the Dex class can be decompiled to Java code or to Somali code. I don't know if you can see or not, but this is the the application that is not protected or anything. You can see the variable names clear and smooth, and you can see the class names and the structure of the code. So unprotected or unobfuscated code looks like this. So the first method is to protect from reverse engineering, to obfuscate the overall application. So obfuscation is transforming the code and the data to make it more difficult to understand. Like it makes the reverse engineers to understand. It makes the reverse engineers' job harder, right? At least. So obfuscation can be done in various ways, like renaming all variables class names so that they are garbage, flattering the directory of the structure, moving meta names between files, adding garbage codes in the middle of the code, and changing strings to its hex array or equivalent. So there is a lot of ways to obfuscate the source code of the application. And ProGuard is also the obfuscation tool used in Android projects. So it's a plugin in the Android project. You can enable it and use it. So after obfuscation, you can see that this is the original code, and it has all the names and the variables. After obfuscation, you can see that it seems like garbage for anyone who sees this. So obfuscating the code turns this code to this one. At least this is the basic one. So using this, the basic one is also difficult to understand. As per White Hat Security, they reported the application security statistics report in 2017, and the second most security problem is lack of basic obfuscation. Like it takes around 80% of the attacking. So most of the application lacks this basic obfuscation. So it's recommended to obfuscate before releasing the application. And tamper detection. Tampering used to affect the behavior of the application at runtime or manually changing the source code. So it changes the actual app and its environment. So detecting and preventing it is fundamental for app securities. So preventing tampering also can prevent other security problems like SSL pinning. Like with tampering, you can disable SSL pinning or anti-emulator checks and root detections, so on. So preventing tampering also can protect your application if you incorporate like anti-SSL pinning and anti-root detections. So by tampering, I mean like hooking and binary patching. So what is how we can prevent binary patching? As a process of changing the compiled apps and inserting code in it, and after that you can reassembling it so that we can get our like what we want from the application. As I told you, tampering is one of the methods to bypass SSL pinning or root and emulator detections. So we have to prevent our application from tampering. Ways to protect and detect it. The first method is like to check the SRC or the checksum of the class.dx. So we have, when we release application, we have the code part, the DX part. So we know the SRC or the checksum of that application. So at runtime, we can check like the running process and our original class DX file. So if the SRC is not the same, you know that there is something wrong with the code or the code is modified. So we can check the SRC of the class.x or the code of the application. And most of the time, anti-emulator or anti-debugging techniques also can be used to detect tampering, because it starts all with debugging techniques and also like with root detections, because most tampering methods needs, I think, the root privilege. And the other one is hooking. So it's a powerful way to monitor or explore or modify apps at runtime without even decompiling or reversing the applications, decompiling the applications without touching the running applications. So Frida and exposed are widely used for this purpose. So exposed can change the behavior of the application at runtime, and it allows also to develop third-party add-ons or modules for the application for the exposed. Most of the time it is used to bypass SSL pinning, emulator, and root detections. The other framework is Frida. It injects your own script into a running black box process. Then you can hook any function like cryptos, APIs, hashes, and every other thing you want. But it's getting harder after Android N or Android 7.x and above. So thus two frameworks are making hooking easy on Android applications. I don't know if you can see it, but this is the expose module that hooks the running applications and see everything, what's going on inside the application. So you can see what is writing to SQLite, you can see the shared preference, serialization, cryptos, and the web view also. So with hooking, we can see, the attacker can see what's going on in the application and analyze the applications. So how to detect and block it? The easiest one is to check if there is installed package, like the exposed method package are installed on the applications. So we can get all the running process and check if there is exposed in it. Then we can say that someone is trying to detect to hook our applications and block our application. The second method is to check the stack trace for suspicious methods. researching what kind of track trace we can get when there is a hooking framework or not, then detect the stress to block or kill your application can be a good way to prevent your application from hooking. So check the stack traces while the expose is running or while it's not running, then differentiate what kind of traces are running while the expose and the Frida are running, then you can kill your application after if you get the stack traces. And the other one is anti-debugging and root detection methods can also be used to detect if it is if there is hooking in your device. So thus to the Frida and expose needs, I think, the root privilege on the device, and also they need debugging methodology, I think. So detecting also anti-debugging and root detection can be used to protect your application from hooking. So the last one is SSL pinning. Making your application to exchange information using SSL or HTTPS is a halfway to protect your applications. So that means you can accept every certificate. If there is legit certificate in your device, you can accept that certificate. But the users can also install custom certificates. So that can also lead us to the attack, to man-in-the-middle attacks. So SSL certificate or SSL pinning is a solution for this problem. Like the app trust certificate stored on the device or its own only its own certificates. Like if your application is on if the Amazon application is connecting to the Amazon web server, it only checks the Amazon certificate. If there is any other certificate on the device, they will kill the application. So they are not communicating anything on that communication. So how can we pin it? And after Android N, there is a newer technique. Like you can provide your own hash or public keys, including in backup keys in the applications. Like there is network security config XMLs in the XML on the resource of the applications. Then you can pin your hash to 56 public key in it. Then whenever there is another hash or there is another certificate on the application will not communicate or it kill itself. So this is the first one after Android N. And before Android N, we can use the space URL connection to trust a specific set of certificate authorities. So if we get another, if the certificate is other than this trusted set of certificate authorities, we can kill our application. Lastly, using the third party like HTTP, we can pin our certificate. As you can see this, we can add our certificate in it. Then our application will check if the certificate is legit or not. So you can read this links if you want to know this about these methods. So at last, I have tried to test applications. Like one way or the other way, I get in touch with these applications. So I try to test this application based on the criteria I talked earlier. So those are IoT app securities, like IoT application, Android application. So Amazon Alexa, SmartThings, MotherSense, Xiaomi Mi Home applications, and Nest. I select this application. As you know, most of them use SSL pinning, except Nest and MotherSense. All of them doesn't detect root detection. router device, and all of them doesn't detect if the device is emulator or not. And this mother sense, Xiaomi and Nest applications, like they don't even try the basic obfuscation method. All of them doesn't detect tampering. Like you can insert in the your code in it and rebuild it, and then you can do whatever you want. But most of them use, except the mother and Nest, they use SSL pinning. So I try to test based on these criteria. So by reverse engineering, I mean like the obfuscation methods, like this reverse engineering, I mean the obfuscations. Anti-tampering method, I used like the static method, maybe like manual methods, like inserting some kind of log method code in the Smali code, and rebuild it and run it. So, and also sometimes I use the expose and Frida. So I use dynamic or static security testing methods, and these are the South Korean apps like I tried to test, and I selected Kakao Talk and the Hallym University, the one where because I'm here, and Nugu and Gigajini. These two are like the speaker applications, and this is the social networking applications. This is the university's application. So the Kakao Talk, they pin there as SSL, so it's not you can't attack on the middle, and they also obfuscate their applications. And the Hallym, yeah, it's not that much secured. And Gigajini is like the hardest one. Like they detect roots, they detect if the application is running on the emulator, and their code is also obfuscated. Anti-tampering, I didn't try it. And the SSL pinning, I think partially it works. Sometimes it works, sometimes it's not. I'm not 100% sure, but sometimes it works. So these are the application I tested with this like security, recommended security practice. As a conclusion, we selected Android application security practices, and developer for sure should consider as much security as possible, like to consider as much possible. At least it is better to have to incorporate the recommended security and make it harder for an attacker, even if there is no 100% security on the applications. SSL pinning is becoming popular, so every big companies are using SSL pinning to protect their application from man in the middle and other attacks. And as I showed you, lack of basic obfuscation is the second most security problem on the applications. Thank you. This is me. If you have any question, you can find me on these things. Thank you.
Hello everyone, welcome back again. My name is Ajayi Betty, a graduate student of Legal Information and Forensic Science Institute in Hallym University. And I'll be presenting the topic, the perspective of Nigerians on cybercrime in their country. Okay. The outline include introduction, about and objective of the survey, descriptive analysis of the data obtained, public knowledge, public perception of hackers in Nigeria, and conclusion. Well, introduction. Technology and cybercrime. Technology is advancing globally, and Nigeria is continually advancing in information technology with provision of limitless benefits for individuals, businesses, commerce, industry, as well as those who are engaged in illegal activities. Those who explore the internet and pervert it for criminal opportunities are cybercriminals. According to Makusta, cybercrime has become an integral part of the transnational threat landscape. African names for cybercriminals. Well, in Nigeria, cybercrime is called Yahoo Yahoo, and the perpetrator are called Yahoo Boys. In Ghana, it is called Sakawa or Yahoo Yahoo. In Cameroon, it is called Fimania. Well, I don't know for other countries, but these are the countries I could get. And now, cybercriminals in Nigeria. Cybercriminals are normal humans like we are. They are human beings. Most of them are young youths in the tertiary institution. And this is due to like influence from friends, like trying to make more money or fast money. Okay. All right. Sorry for the intro. So, types of hacking in Nigeria, we have two main types. We have the normal hacking, that is Yahoo, and we have the black magic hacking. Or the normal hacking is just using technology to like scam people online, while the black magic hacking is like using spiritual aid to make their hacking skills yield more money. And brief introduction to cyber spiritualism. Oludayo Tade, 2013, named this cyber spiritualism, and he defined it as the involvement, like procurement of and use of mystical, spiritual, and supernatural powers by Yahoo boys to cast a spell on their victims. Though through this method, victims become hypnotized and, without objection, offer their treasures, money, and properties to fraudsters. Although empirically unverifiable, Yahoo boys derive some psychological impetus which enhances the adoption of the strategy. Then, the methods used in Yahoo Plus include Mayewu, which is called inconvertible order in English. Orukaere, called magical rings and incisions around the wrist. And lastly, Ijapa, tortoise. This is used to solve the internet for profitable sites. About an objective of the survey. Well, the survey was conducted April-May within the duration of a month, and there were 4 categories, but for the purpose of this presentation, I'll be talking about 2 categories. Well, the objective of this survey are to know Nigerian cybercrime awareness, black magic hacking awareness in Nigeria, Nigerians believe in black magic hacking, and lastly, Nigerians thought about normal and black magic hackers. Descriptive analysis of the data. Well, the first category I'll be talking about is the public knowledge. And for this section, the questions were asked to like know the level of awareness of cybercrime in Nigeria. The first question, on a scale of 1 to 5, how much do you know about cybercrime in Nigeria? And this is the result that was gotten. 1 means almost nothing, knowing nothing about cybercrime in Nigeria. 2, little knowledge. Why 3 is average knowledge, 4 is almost expert, why 5 is expert knowledge. Well, from the histogram, we can see that most of the people that answered the survey like had average knowledge about cybercrime in Nigeria, while 28.6% almost expert, then 16.1% expert knowledge, and 11.6% they know almost nothing about hacking in Nigeria, then 8.9% know little. The next question is, what is the term for normal hackers in Nigeria? For this particular question, I got 125 responses, and the pie chart shows 89.6% know the term to be called Yahoo, while 8% think it's Yahoo plus. The next question is, what is the term for black magic hackers in Nigeria? And for this particular question, I got 124 responses. And from the pie chart, you can see that 83.1% know it is called Yahoo plus, and 11.3% think it is called Yahoo. The next question is, how did you first learn about hacking? And for this particular question, I got 130 responses. And from the histogram, we can see that most people got to know this through their friends. That's 50%. And 32.3% got to learn it through social media, 20.8% through media. And the last question for this particular section is, how did you first learn about black magic hacking? We got 129 responses, and 44.2% got to know it through their friends, 27.9% got to know it through social media, and 24.8% know nothing about black magic hacking in Nigeria, while 15.5% got to know it through media. Then the next section is the public perception of Nigerians about hackers, and the question in this section was asked to know like the percentage of Nigerians that believe in the Black Magic Hacking Act and what Nigerians think about hackers in general. Well, the first question is, what are the characteristics of a person involved in normal hacking? Well, for this particular question, they had to like give it in their own words and express how they feel about this, and I categorized it into 10 categories. We have the lavish spending, which got the highest answer, which was like 21.5%. No idea, 19%. Fraudsters and criminals, like 13.9%. Always working on the computer, 11.4%. And those that think they are just normal, 10.1%. Those that think they are smart and intelligent, 8.9%. Those that think they are rich and classy, 6.4%. Those that think they are uncultured, 3.8%. While those that think they are self-confident and young, 2.5%. The next question is, what are the characteristics of a person involved in black magic hacking? We shouldn't mix this up. The first one is those that are involved in normal hacking, while this is for those that are involved in black magic hacking. That's called Yahoo plus. So I divided into 10 categories too. And the first one, the 25.3% said they had no idea. Also 25.3% said they think they are lavish spenders. 14.7% think they are fetish and diabolic. 10.7% think they are fraudsters and criminals. 5.3% think they are stupid and lazy, desperate, and some think they are normal. 4% think they are uncultured. 2.7% think they are weird, and 1.4% think they are intelligent. The next question is, do you believe black magic improves a hacker's success in hacking? Well, for this particular question, I got 114 responses, and 63.2% said yes, they believe black magic improves the hacker's success, and 36.8% said no. Next question is, why do you think people use black magic when hacking? Well, for this, I got like various replies, and I divided it into 8 categories. And the first one is 29.1% think they do it to increase their success rate. And 21.5% have no idea. 16.5% think they do it to confuse the victims. 10.1% think they do it just to get more money. 7.6% think black magic is superior to using normal hacking to, get people. And 6.3% think they are inconfident. And 5.1% think they do it to avoid being caught, while 3.8% think they do it to make their work easy and get easy targets. Next question is, have you ever come in contact with someone involved in hacking? I got 120 responses for this particular question, and 36.7% said no, while 31.7% said yes and maybe. Next question is, do you have or add hackers as friends? Well, for this particular question, I got 118 responses, and 79.7% said no, while 20.3% said yes. The last question for this particular section is, based on your experience, what is the age range of people involved in hacking? Well, for this particular question, I got 122 responses, and from the histogram, we can see 59% think the age range is 26 to 35. 41% think it's 15 to 25. 21.3% think they said they have no idea about age, while 6.6% think it's 36 to 45, while 0.8% said less than 15. Well, that was all for the survey, and in conclusion, from the presented charts and tables, it shows Nigerians' awareness of the types of hacking in their country, the use of black magic to victimize people while hacking, which is called cyber spiritualism. Nigerians' view of Yahoo boys, that's cyber criminals, and from the charts, people think those involved in Yahoo, that's like the normal hacking. They see them as lavish spenders, criminals, fraudsters, and people who are always working on the computers. And for the Yahoo Plus, those that use spiritual aids to increase their success rate, people think they are lavish spenders too. People think they are fetish and diabolic people, and criminals and fraudsters. Well, from the charts, we already see that Nigerians know what is going on around them, and they know what Yahoo Plus is, they know what Yahoo is, they know the differences between these two terms, and they know who these people are, and they also have various kind of characteristics for them and words to describe them. Well, that will be the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, so that was it for Hallym University in South Korea, the Legal Informatics and Forensic Science Institute. I hope you enjoyed some of the work and research we're doing here. If you followed along, you would have seen a lot of technical presentations, but also legal and social presentations. We really cover a lot of different areas. We don't just want to find, for example, vulnerabilities. We want to understand what drives cybercrime, what drives cyber criminals to do what they do. So we're working in a lot of different areas, not just the technical, but also the social. And the researchers are doing, in my opinion, great work about really trying to understand what drives cybercrime, not just in Korea, not just in their home countries, but around the world. And that's really what this conference is about. So the Cybersecurity Revolution Conference, you would have seen many presentations from all over the world on a lot of different topics. And really, yeah, that's what we're trying to do with this conference, and I'm happy that we could participate in Cybersecurity Revolution to at least have a first step to get some of our ideas out there and hopefully make a lot of discussion. So I was looking at the chat. We didn't have a lot of discussion in chat, but we are going to post these videos as well as the presentation slides, not only for Hallym University, but also for hopefully most of the presentations that you would have seen over this one 24-hour stretch of conference. And the videos will definitely be online very shortly. Just an administrative note right now. Next was supposed to be a European research group, but now it's switched to HUJI Cybersecurity Research Center in Israel. And that will start in about 2.5 hours from now. So keep checking the SecRev hashtag on Twitter for more updates on especially the next link to the video. You can also check a link on the video that you're watching right now. At the bottom should be the next video, but we've had a lot of problems with links lately, so definitely check Twitter for the next SecRev hashtag. Yeah, so I hope we do this again in the future, and I hope you enjoyed our research. If you have any questions about legal informatics and forensic science in Hallym University, feel free to contact us via this channel or Twitter, Digital Forensic Science. Okay, so thank you.